Good afternoon. This webinar offers closed captioning. To enable closed captioning, click on the live transcript button on the bottom of your screen and choose your preferred method. At this time, BACP Commissioner Ken Meyer will help us start our Empower Hour.
Thank you, Stella. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the BACP Empower Hour. I'm Ken Meyer, Commissioner of the Chicago Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection. Our goal is to help businesses and consumers get the info they need to succeed by sharing advice and stories from Chicago's entrepreneurs. In Chicago, we all know there's a favorite food place for everyone, from donuts to pizza. So where do you go if you're really craving great, delicious chicken? Our guest today is going to tell you where. With me today is Charmaine Rickett, CEO of Uncle Remus's Saucy Fried Chicken. So let's get into her journey, the journey of the business, and becoming one of the Chicago's chicken shop staples. So welcome.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. And first of all, Ken, let me say this. We're going to have to practice because we're going to have to put some attitude. It's Uncle Remus Saucy Fried Chicken. So we should have been practicing that, but I'll let you pass.
All right. So I get another try now. You are the owner of Uncle Remus's Saucy Fried Chicken on the west side of Chicago.
Yes.
After doing my research, I understand that the business has a rich history and was founded by your parents, Gus and Mary Rickett. Can you tell us a little bit more about your company's phenomenal 50-year history here in Chicago?
Absolutely. I am proud to say that I am second generation business owner for, Uncle Remus Saucy Fried Chicken, that I have had the absolute pleasure. And I always say pleasure despite the ups and downs. And I'm very transparent. So I'll definitely share the ups and the downs, but to be able to be a staple in the community on the west side. We just stopped at 50, but we're probably at well over 60 years or more. My parents have been in business. My dad is still living. He's 96 years old and he's out driving now somewhere. I tried to make him stay put to do this, but he said I had things to do. And he doesn't quite understand the whole technology and I'm going to be looking at people, it's not in person. So having that whole conversation, I'm like, just go. But yes, so we have been, in the community, as I said, well over 50 years on the west side of Chicago. So we are deeply rooted in that community, have been serving that community in just about every capacity, whether we're selling food or giving away food or supporting community organizations. It's just who we are and what we've been doing.
That's great. And God bless your father is driving at 96. Wow.
Yes.
I can really drive it. Running a family business that has been open for 50 years takes a lot of work. Have you and your family been able to keep the doors open throughout that 50-year history? Absolutely.
As we all know that we are, I guess we are coming out of, but I think this was no more of a pandemic. I say it's an epidemic that we will probably live with forever. It's just, going to stay and linger. But, I can even go back before this pandemic. I'm going to go back even in the 60s during the riots of the 60s. And my parents were still operating in the community, their business, as buildings next to them were burning down. And, they still had the fortitude and the resilience to serve. And I wish my dad was here to talk about how he even served the Black Panthers during all of that unrest, how they respected the business. So even during those times. So, let's go back to my time when I was running the business and then the pandemic hit. There was certainly, a lot of unknowns of how do we remain open? How do we continue to thrive and keep payroll and keep the business going? And we just were able to, I think for a couple of reasons, probably because we are, that staple in the community. And I didn't want to let the community down to say that, hey, we have to close. And then the fact that who knew that, we were being called an essential business during the time for that. So it was essential for us to remain open. And even during that time, we've always have humble beginnings and humble even journey. But during that time, I probably gave away more food than I sold, because I'm sure that the first responders and anybody who wanted anything was able to eat. So yeah, we just the fortitude and resilience, I think that was just embedded in me from my parents to just keep pushing.
Yeah, and probably also just keeping busy, even though you're probably not making the profits that you wanted to, because you're providing food to folks that really need it. I think that also just kind of helps your own personal soul.
It does.
When we're in this kind of a situation such as the pandemic or war.
Yeah.
So let's just talk now the pandemic or epidemic, I appreciate, and its post economy, where we are kind of right now. And has it been difficult for many? It has been difficult for many businesses. Some of the reopening challenges have been staff shortages. I know here at City Hall, we're having a hard time recruiting. Supply chain issues and skyrocketing food costs, which everyone I think experiences when they go to the grocery counter, much less someone does professionally for the business. How were you able to reopen your doors during this tough time of economic recovery for small businesses? And give us some of those kind of challenges you now are seeing as we're slowly getting out of.
Well, it's so interesting. And I know that on this call are business owners and like-minded people, or people that want to get in business, to understand how do you, I always say we surviving and thriving. Some people survive, some industries thrived during the pandemic. But the food industry is a different beast, because the margins in and of itself are thin. And the fact that what I sell is a commodity, which is chicken. Everything I sell is commodity. So chicken, shortening, flour, all of those things, when you're talking about a commodity, it's market driven. So, having to have the most cost rising food industry probably in its history has been a challenge, in a sense of you have to become very conscious of the community. I'm a very cost conscious business, because I know my audience, I know my the bottom line as to what people can spend. So, the mere fact that the chicken prices probably saw an increase of upwards of 70, 80% during the pandemic, but me yet trying to maintain and not go up on pricing, because if one industry is going up, all industries are going up, and it still affects everyone's bottom line. So, trying to be creative and how to still maintain a bottom line, maintain my payroll, and not necessarily pass on all the cost to the consumer was something I pretty much had to get in the fastest accelerated course possible to survive. So it is probably one of the challenging things that I'm doing now. It's so interesting. I'm having this conversation like in real time, because I've never did a cost analysis for my business from an accountant perspective, or from a perspective of most people. I always compare myself to the big brands. So when I think about Portillo's, McDonald's, they know that hamburger that they sell for whatever it is, $1.50. They know that their labor, their insurance, their rent, any other operation is in that cost. I never had that. I had the mindset to do it, but I didn't have the wherewithal on how to do it. So now we're going through, I'm at a growth stage where I can have those analytics and those analysis for my business to really see how profitable it really is. Because in businesses, sometimes we just, as I say, turn money. And I always say, it's not what you make, it's what you keep. And being educated now as I am, and then being able to educate others and mentor other businesses on it's not what you make, is what you keep, is it's kind of it's a happy place for me. It's what I like to do.
No, that's great. And while we're on the topic of kind of the finance side of the business,
Mhm.
before we get into secret recipes, tell me, like, how did your family or how did your parents or even you, before we got in the pandemic, how did you guys kind of keep afloat? Was it something your father or mother early on had to go to a bank to get a loan to start up? Was it something they had saved because you said they had worked 10 years previously? They'd
Right.
save enough money to, this is for our listeners today, just kind of share some of that very kind of early on, particularly listeners who are thinking about getting into
Right.
business.
Well, let me just say for our listeners, very transparent. If I can look directly in the camera at all of you that I can't see, banks are not friendly to our restaurants. They
Okay.
just don't. It's in their opinion, it's too high risk, even if it's starting out. But let's just take me, who's been around, has this rich history. I still have challenges with getting lines of credits or loans to open because I won't put all the ownership on the bank. I'll put some on me. Having that financial piece and having someone that understands the finances of the business is extremely important. Understanding that bottom line. So as I alluded to earlier, the restaurant industry bottom line is so thin, and the banks are looking at, can you afford to pay me back? Not if you're turning money. So, me being in a position, even with a 50-year business, is really still challenging. I thought I put this on airplane mode. I don't know if I left you. It's really challenging. I'm going to turn my phone off. It's really challenging even now as we speak. And it's even more challenging now that we have going through COVID for businesses, especially restaurants, to get financed. So how have we financed it? I financed it through the cash register. And that's probably not the smartest thing that I have had to do, but it is what I only knew to do because that's what my parents knew to do. But now I am smarter and I'm growing, and I am in a position to go to banks, getting in a position to go to investors for the big vision picture for the brand. But for the small business person that's starting off, it's family, friends, and people who believe in you and your vision to get you started, especially in the restaurant business.
Yeah. And again, on the financial side of things, was Uncle Remus able to take advantage of financial resources from the city of Chicago or even the state that was provided during the pandemic for small businesses? And how did your securing financing for the restaurant? And then again, I think something else is how did you secure financing to go into the expansion of your food truck?
Yes. So a couple of things. And I know that you're the moderator, but I'm talking directly to these businesses that are on there.
That's a good thing.
One thing that saved me when the pandemic hit is I always operated my business like a brand and not a ma and pa business. It's family. I have a big family, but when I say that, I meant I've always paid payroll taxes, I've always paid sales taxes, I've always done things the right way. May not have gotten it right all the time, but my effort was to always do it the right way. So that now when the pandemic hit, I had a lot of business, I have a lot of friends that are in business that couldn't take advantage of the financial, as I said, this pandemic is a once in a lifetime, and the financial relief that was offered is once in a lifetime. And I want to take one moment to give a shameless plug. It's not even shameless, it's a sincere plug to the city. What the city did during the pandemic to help businesses was unprecedented. I was on every call with BACP led by Kenya. I know that other cities were looking at the city of Chicago for all of the relief, the grant relief. Now I'm going back to the fact that I have businesses, friends and businesses that couldn't take advantage of that. Why? Because I'm not paying any taxes. It's too much. It is very, very costly, especially when you're doing business the right way. When you pay taxes, your bottom line is even more razor thin. But the fact that I endured, persevered during that gave me the positioning and the opportunity to take advantage of the PPP, which really helped me during the pandemic. The Idol helped me during the pandemic. That's on the government side. The city side, when they had the grant coming up, there was some paperwork that you had to be in order, some compliance for the city that you had to be in order. I was in compliance, but I turned it down because I wanted to go for the next person because I had taken advantage of the federal money that had gone through. But again, I just want the people on this line to know that don't be afraid to do the right thing. Don't be afraid of the paperwork. Don't be afraid to be in compliance because the banks won't look at you. Local, even other community development organizations that has money, that grant money coming, there has to be compliance. So, aside from when you get the money from your friends and family that help you start your business and fuel into your vision, once you get your business, be good stewards over it. So I think that helped me do that. And I know one of the other questions was, I was also able to have an NOF grant while I was, closed for the remodel for the city. The city's NOF grant and all of their opportunities that they have right now is really, it's unprecedented. I am in a lot of meetings. I toot the horn of City of Chicago. No other cities are doing it like the City of Chicago. So yes, I'm a recipient of the NOF grant.
Great. And I appreciate that. And I want to just mention for those watching today is you mentioned Kenya Merritt. She's my first deputy. She's the number 2, and Kenya and I have worked in the department for a number of years. And she knows she is the City of Chicago's Chief Small Business Officer. And so we do have to give her a shout out and an entire small business advocacy team, which is really responsible for rolling out the federal dollars
Yes.
During the pandemic. And with that experience and with that, just, working here, rolling up her sleeves, working here and making sure it's fair and equitable, Kenya and her team are coming up with some new programs going forward with some additional ARP dollars. Won't be quite the same as what we did during the crisis and when we were in the middle of the pandemic. But again, really to make sure that we're helping out communities that have traditionally maybe not been awarded funds, or the commercial corridors or the nonprofits. Also to help out folks in your community with some food equity. So more of that's going to be rolling out over the next coming months.
Great to hear. Great to hear.
And we'll make sure we have Kenya. We'll do webinars and what have you as we're rolling stuff out. But no, shout out to her and her team as well. So my next question for you is: your flagship store is located in the Austin neighborhood, Oak Park native myself, Oak Park River Forest alum. What inspired you to branch out to other locations throughout the city? And I think you're also in the suburbs, right? When I look at
Yes, I'm in cities and suburbs. So we were there for a long.
I don't know how to get there because they don't allow me to leave.
We were there. We were in the Austin community for a long time before we branched out. But kudos to my parents who ran businesses, didn't quite know. I mean, they've operated as many 8 or 10 stores at one time in their lifetime span. But when I took over the business, we were just down to one location. I stayed there for a long time because I just knew that it was a brand that could expand, but I knew that we had to get some things right. So I can remember years ago, I'm like, oh, I want a franchise. I mean, we sell a lot of chicken. We have good chicken. We have a great recipe. I want to franchise. And people were like, okay, what POS system do you use? Where are your analytics? What's your, average customer ticket? All of these things that I didn't know. So, I'm saying that to say everyone is on this call, growing slow is okay. They always say the early bird catch the worm, but it's also a saying that says slow and steady will also win the race. So I just took my time and, waited and did some things and that my parents weren't doing as far as, just getting systems down. And, once I kind of felt good with that, we branched out to what I call was, we were moving on up. We moved to Broadview, which was like a big deal, when most people who live west go further west and, you've kind of out of the neighborhood and kind of moved up a step. So we went to the Broadview community. But I will say that me taking the time 25 or more years ago when I first started doing this and getting everything in place, I usually don't brag about it, but we are the first we were the first non-national, non-franchise, and probably minority brand to be inside of Walmart.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Good to know.
most people didn't know that, because when Walmart opened the first location ever in their history, because they had never, the first city they came to was Chicago, Walmart.
Yeah.
So we had the opportunity to be their vendor inside their store. And that's because, of the hard work and the discipline. I remember my friends in college saying, yo, you went to college to come back and, fried chicken? I did. Thank God. Thank God for chicken, So, having that. So then, from there, just took the time to get things right, and we just expanded there. So you asked me about the food truck. Her name is Big Saucy, affectionately called Big Saucy. We love Big Saucy. But, I know that, some people do food trucks, some people do brick and mortar. There's an advantage to both. Food trucks is more seasonal, so if you have a product that's seasonal, you can get in, make your money and get out, it's fine. But for me, the food truck was just a way to expand the brand. In my mind, I thought I would go places where people didn't know me, get to know me, and then plant a brick and mortar business there. And I don't know if that's my plan now, but the food truck is a whole different beast. My food truck is more of a restaurant. I call it my 5th restaurant because it's 22 foot. It's fully functional. It's a restaurant. It has all the technology that I have in the restaurant, meaning when you come and order, I can park my food truck and you can go online and you can order online, or you can go online, see where I am, order online, order DoorDash, order delivery. So I wanted a full restaurant on wheels. Everyone doesn't have to do that. Sometimes I'm over the top. I'm a go big or go home kind of person. So, but the food truck in and of itself, I think if you're starting out and you understand, the restaurant is probably a little bit smaller space for you to learn the flow of everything. But, food trucks are a great way for you to make revenue without all of the overhead of, all you really have to pay is propane and gas and staff, but you don't have your lights and your gas, and it's less overhead for food trucks. So, I just wanted to try it in a food truck, and I wanted to, of course, add more revenue to the bottom line.
What a great question. I want to expand that just slightly a little bit. So for a listener who's, kind of ready to kind of put their toes in the lake, right? Get a little bit wet, and they really want to open up their first business. I mean, give us a little bit of the pros and cons. Like, I don't know, do I go out and look for a lease and open up my first brick and mortar? Or is the food truck kind of like, I don't know, is it cheaper? Is it easier to kind of start with, and I can kind of figure out what neighborhood to go into? Or do I kind of scale back and just kind of start off more slowly, maybe with catering business?
As we know, food trucks there are many food trucks rolling on the city of Chicago streets, whether they're registered or not. I know, right?
If you're a food truck operator, you need to get
I'm going to say that. I'm getting there. I'm going to help you. The benefits of being registered: you'll be on this call, you're in Daily Plaza, you're in all of the festivals, and you really can't operate any festivals because any outside festival is still asking you for all of your accreditations and credentials and everything. But, I think with the food truck, you have to realize that it's really seasonal, because it's really difficult to operate a food truck when it's 20 below outside because of the propane freezing, the pipes freezing. So, if you have something that is seasonal, I would think that you would try it, at first, but then, you have to weigh the cost of a food truck, meaning it's not like I can go and I can rent a place and I can just give a two months deposit, a security deposit and month's rent, and then just pay, $2,000 or $3,000, whatever your rent is. If you can find rent for that cheap, let me know. So, but, you still have the cost. You still have to build the food truck. You have to buy it. I purchased mine new because I was able, because I had the paperwork together, I was able to finance the food truck through my business instead of, so it's through the business, not like a, personal. So if you have, the credit and the finances to buy a food truck, whether it's used, you still have to buy the equipment. So it's your preference. Are you buying new equipment or used equipment? I'm not a big fan of used equipment because like a used car, it doesn't have a warranty, it breaks down. But if that's what you can afford at this moment, until you can graduate until another food truck, do that. But again, the average food truck is still, I'm sure, well over 25,000, depending on what your industry is. Some people may just do ice cream. Some people, do smoothies. I don't know, it's of course, it's different to each industry. But again, it's what you can afford to do. If you can afford a brick and mortar and you only need 1,000 square foot to operate your business, it may be more economical for that. And then when you outgrow that, you can do a brick and mortar and a food truck. But the first thing you have to do is get your systems and your operations in place so that you can do both.
Okay. And when you go into that second, it's either the second store or going out to buy the food truck, from your perspective and your family's perspective, you prefer, it sounds like, to kind of get as save, and then have enough of your own capital that you've made through your successful business to go on to the next business. Or for your second business, would you go on to the banking or not? I'm just trying for those.
Banks don't like restaurants.
Okay, that's what you said earlier.
Yeah,
okay.
They don't. So it's kind of, save, and go into your second. They like restaurants, unfortunately, when you're maybe at my, 4 or 5 stores, they kind of start looking at you. But when you're kind of a onesie twosie, it's just really hard to get noticed. But I will say that there are more community-based organizations that may have, micro lending is really good when you're starting out, to do a micro loan, and banks really give those agencies kind of the oversight to, kind of help police you, in a sense, for lack of a better word, to be good stewards of your money, get your paperwork in order. So you may start with a small micro loan for your business. And once you pay that, that community organization may introduce you to a bank to get into a more sizable loan for your business. But if you can start with family and friends and people, loaning you money, or I wouldn't say investors, because that's a whole nother level. And I wouldn't borrow money from folks who don't understand that they can't get it back, with interest. And, it's just not like that in the restaurant industry. I don't know what other industries are listening, but just be careful of that. And, just start slow. You may want to start with a food truck and then go into a brick and mortar. But for the most part, a brick and mortar.
Let me just give our viewers a little bit of a plug for the BACP Chicago Food Truck Festival, which is held downtown every Friday through until October 7th. And it's at Daily Plaza and runs from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And we at BACP are trying to help out our small businesses in the food truck industry. And so we do rotate them. But I have to tell you, Charmaine, when Uncle Remus's truck is scheduled to participate, I hear from my staff giving rave reviews about your sauce. Long lines, have a little bit of patience. If you come out to the Daily Plaza and go to Uncle Remus's food truck. Oh, I'm sorry, it's called
Big Saucy. It's Big Saucy.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's
and so about that sauce, when
Yeah.
did you decide to manufacture and bottle the sauce? And that's kind of like a little bit of a different, still food, but a little bit different than serving
Another
customers.
stream of income.
Yeah,
So as a
exactly.
business person, you're always looking at within your business, how do you generate more streams of income? So, you think about third-party delivery as, people bringing in revenue. And I wish I could talk about that. Are we ever going to regulate what they charge? But anyway, whole nother conversation. But anyway, because it is not there for small businesses. It really hurts most of them if you're not sophisticated enough to negotiate. But, you think within your business, how can you have other streams of income? So if you have a viable business, catering in and of itself is a whole nother stream of income separate from the retail. So you can, have your retail, meaning in the door, or customers, a third party, and you can have catering for that, which is a better profitability for catering than in the store. And then most people have, there's so many sauces, you have you have your own niche, you have your own special sauce for whatever your special business is. You have your own special flavor for your ice cream. You can, package that, pack that and everything. So with us, it happens to be the sauce, and our sauce has been around. And people say the most endearing things like, that sauce so good I can slap your mama, or do they put crack in the sauce? It's been around. So, but getting it to be bottled, and most people ask, oh, why don't you put it in the store, on the store shelves? It's just learning the nuances of each industry, of each, say, discipline of that. So I wasn't really overexcited about putting it in the grocery stores, because now, the fanfare being in the grocery store, but guess what? You have to move those bottles off the shelf. You have to do the marketing, you have to do everything. So for you all that have those other streams of income, do it within your business. So the challenge again for that was, I would go to the restaurant show, and most manufacturers want all of these minimums met. So I can't pay for 50,000 units of sauce, because they want, whether it's 30-day terms or not. I mean, I wish I was selling 50,000 units every 30 days. So most of the times when you want to do that, you have to have a distributor. So when you want to do that, you kind of go through the distributor and you let them do that, and you pay a little bit, 2 or 3 cents extra per bottle, whatever it is, the volume for that. So, putting it in the stores was probably, selling it within the stores was probably a 5-6 year journey, for me, finding someone to do the bottling and the capping and the labels and everything. But I will say that it is, we've been probably not even a year, we've bottled it and have it cupped, and it has saved as far as waste, because we would cup it ourselves, then you would spill it and everything like that. All of that goes away. But, right now you can just get it in the store, and we're also developing an online store for the sauce. I'm not ready to put it into the grocery stores, because you want to be able to keep and make the profit first before you do that. And I know I talk a lot, but I like to educate.
That's good. This is all good.
I want to tell the people that are listening, think about White Castle. You couldn't find White Castle frozen burgers for a long time, because they wanted to perfect everything before they put it in the grocery stores, because, everyone has to get their percentage. So, people will come up and say, oh my God, you have the best, you should go into the grocery stores. You should go here. Just take your time, sell it, within. And then when you have the operations, and, I keep saying that word, operations and systems in place to expand, do that. So for now, it's in the stores. You'll be able to order it online. Went to the restaurant show. Who knew that the United States Post Office has this whole marketing side to them for businesses, So, always educate yourself, read, go to seminars, go to webinars, go to conferences, and always, look for ways to improve your business. So that's where we are now with the sauce. But you can get it. And when I'm in Daily Plaza, all you food truck people, please get credentialed, because that Daily Plaza is very, very lucrative for me. I wish I could be there every day for the $100 that they charge. You can't even get in a festival for $100. So the city is really trying to help us.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, so are you going to share with our viewers any?
Absolutely not. No secret to the sauce. No secret.
I couldn't even get it out. I was going to ask for one ingredient besides the crack. Okay.
No, besides the crack, right?
Sauce.
It's not even manufactured in Chicago or in this. That's how protective I am of it.
All right. So you clearly are working a 25-hour day and a 25 hours in a
24-hour day. Yes.
Yep, thank you. So tell us, like, for those, I always say, for those entrepreneurs, when someone thinks they're going to start their business, share just a little bit of a story that, it's not 9 to 5.
No, it's not.
Friday when you're starting out a business, particularly in a restaurant, right? Where people are dining at dinner.
Yes.
So share us a little bit about that, and then just kind of how you, relax, kind of tune off if it's possible, right? And share a little bit of that with us too.
Well, it's not 9 to 5, and I never go to sleep until my last location is closed.
Wow, okay.
I'm a little older than I think, and than I look, I should say, because we used to close like at 4 in the morning, And then
Wow.
I'm like, oh my God, I can't. And then went to 2 in the morning and midnight. So now we close early because it's just, a lot. So I technically have 4 brick and mortar stores and the food truck.
Yep.
And I have a pretty good operations, whereas I have store managers, I have, a flow chart of leadership, I have all of that. However, I still have to work. So my joke is I have a real bad attitude if I have to go in a restaurant. I say sling chicken for a living, but sometimes I have to work for a living for my paycheck. So sometimes I'm actually physically working, like with a hairnet, I taking orders, fixing orders. And I do like that, but I don't want to do it as much. I'm always working as far as to grow the brand. And I can leave you with some advice my dad always gives me. He says, if you're working in the store, the growth of a business is in the office, not in the store. And I know that may sound a little backwards, because when I work at the restaurant, and I've been working a lot, because when I tell you there's a labor shortage, it's real. I've been physically working a lot. I don't feel like having meetings or, what's next. Like I said, we're trying to get the sauce online, and we're trying to, do the administrative and the growth part of it. So if you're working your business so hard, you just mentally drained to grow the business. So, I'm just trying to find that balance, but I'm truly in a season where I work a lot. I'm physically working. I have no one on that truck. So, this past weekend, I had 16, 17-hour days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I'm talking physically on that truck, slinging chicken, as we call it. So, but I love it. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I'm unemployable. Nobody employed me because I boss everybody around. I've been a boss too long to work for anyone. So I love it. And I'm excited about growing it. And I just have to keep at it. And when I relax, I have learned that it's okay to take a mental day. I never thought, I honestly, very transparent. I never thought that I needed one. But in this last season, a year, 2.5 or so, not really COVID, just the brain power it takes to keep the business going. I found myself burnt out.
Uncertainty took a lot of brain power.
Yeah, I find myself like saying, okay, it's okay to, just check out. So I'll check out, and I'll play cards on my phone. That relaxes me. And I'll just sit at home and I don't watch TV as much as I used to anymore. So I just kind of sit at home and do nothing. So that's kind of how I check out. But I can't really, I'll stop working in 7 years. I have a 7-year plan to expand the business.
Okay.
And then to really work on our foundation, my family's foundation, to stay in the community. I love my community. I love entrepreneurs. I love to help them, mentor them. So in 7 years, I really just want to do that full time. Now I'm trying to find someone in the family to leave the business to for a 3rd generation. So working on that as well.
That's good. That's great. Any kind of final words of encouragement for anyone thinking about wanting to open up a restaurant?
It takes courage, resilience, tenacity, and just the vision of, this is what I want. This is how it should be. However, you have to surround yourself with people that, I'm a visionary, and I want it right now. I want it right now. But smart leaders surround themselves with people that balance them, that keep them calm and say, okay, well, we can do it, but we can do it next week, not today. Let's plan it out. So, if you have visions of a business, surround yourself. I'm not a tech person. I have the greatest tech person in the world. Oh my God, I am not a tech. I called him now. I'm like, hey, I haven't hooked my camera up for this thing. I hate to call you. And then I was like, oh, the camera's off. That's how low tech I am. So, you surround yourself with people that understand your vision, that buy into your vision and want to help you with your vision, but treat those people good and right, because you want to keep them, because you want to treat them right. So I just, find someone, surround yourself with good people, but treat those people right.
Good words of encouragement. I'm very similar in the tech.
Yeah,
Good,
I'm the worst, the
Yeah.
worst. It's embarrassing. It's really embarrassing.
First question. Well, Ken, is it actually on? Is it? Oh, yeah, that's a good. All right.
Yeah, yeah.
So before I'll turn over to Stella in just a second, but before we do that, let's give Charmaine a great shout out. And Charmaine, give us for our listeners today. Let's remind them where they can find your locations for Uncle Remus's Saucy Fried Chicken.
Saucy Fried Chicken.
And how they can track the
Right. Well, UncleRemusUSA.com. So UncleRemusUSA.com is, I talk about that technology. My tech guy, Solomon, has really put me in a whole new century of technology. But Uncle Remus USA, if you want to ever go online, order and find out where we are, especially Big Saucy, if you want to, do any of that. But my locations, the flagship is on 5611 West Madison. That's in Austin community. In order of opening, the second location is 1801 Roosevelt Road. That's in Broadview. The third location, my only South Side location, as of now, is on 737 East 47th. We just say 47th in Cottage. And then my fourth location that I opened during the pandemic, we didn't have time to talk through. I signed the lease and then a pandemic hit. And those big shopping mall people were like, that's not my problem, it's your problem. It was in Bolingbrook. That's 339 North Weber Road in Bolingbrook. So that's the four. And then we have Big Saucy. So
Wow.
Crazy chicken lady.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, not only did you expand in the city of Chicago, but the fact that you also took the adventure out to the suburbs. That's great. Stella, I think I'm gonna turn it back to you to see if we have any questions from our listeners and participants today.
Yes, we have a few questions. First question: many small businesses are dealing with a lot of staff shortages. Have you been forced to hire close friends and family in order to help keep your doors open?
Haha, I love that question. Yes. Now, I only say yes, and I love that question is because I have an external HR company because I have so many employees, so much compliance and everything like that. And she went on vacation, and when she came back, I'm like, oh, Sierra's working, Quince Shanky's working, all these nickname family people. She's like, where do these people come from? I'm like, listen, the struggle is real. I had to pull them from wherever it was. And I can tell you that the shortage is so bad until at my Broadview location last week, 2 weeks in a row, my manager was the only one there. And that's hard because I have online, I have in-store, I have third-party delivery. So that was a lot because people don't want to work. I've had employees onboarded through HR. They're at 11 o'clock. And at 12:30, we're like, where did this employee go? They walked out. So I am baffled as to why no one wants to work when there's so much work. And then, like you said, Commissioner, in every industry this is unprecedented, in every industry. And let me say another thing that's a challenge for restaurants when, you can go to Target or Amazon, they're paying $20 an hour, $22. We just can't do that with our bottom line. So that's a challenge. So you don't want to work, and now you don't want to work for, what I'm paying you. And me, I have some room to not even pay minimum wage, but I still can't pay $20, $22. But I understand they don't even want to come to work for $22 an hour. So the answer is yes, I pull anything. I had my 12-year-old niece on the food truck this weekend because there's no help. So the answer is you just have to, I think that I am hopeful that this too shall pass. I don't think we'll be in this for long. I just don't know how much longer, but it's challenging.
Yeah, so I imagine your neighbors in the heat of summer, like walking by your house, like, all covered up, like,
I'll call
come out and recruit you.
Anyone, exactly.
For a couple hours.
Yes.
Okay, and I have another question. Actually, this is my question, Charmaine. Probably should ask you tomorrow. Oh, by the way, Charmaine will be on the plaza tomorrow.
I will be.
um, when there is a staff shortage like that and you are doing online sales, do you cut off your online sales?
I extend the time. I try not to, because since COVID, we are in such a digital dependent marketplace. So it's such a hard balance when I turn off online and then the store is completely no customers, because it's lopsided. Whereas before pandemic, it may have been 30% online, 70% walk up. So now it's kind of flip flop. So what I tried to do is extend the time to like a 45-minute time. But then what happens is the customer they're sitting outside in the car and they come in 10 minutes later and say, well, I ordered my food. And we're like, yeah, we told you 45 minutes because we're behind. So it's just the nuance of working that out. And then I'll turn off third-party delivery for that, and just try to make it work. But we try to stay open. I've had to close more times than I like to say it, in Broadview and Bolingbrook. Not so much the city stores, but when that happens, I have to choose which store has the most revenue for that day, maybe close that store. Then I have to drive those employees to the city or to the suburbs to work, and so that I can stay open. But yeah, I've had to close during this time, even as recent as this week, for no staff.
You are getting a lot of, you are so transparent. They feel inspired. Kenya is on. Kenya said the website is amazing. Make ordering and easy, and pickup is very easy with your online. One last question. How did you find out about the city's resources?
Well, I would say to the business owners or aspiring ones on here, stay connected to your community organizations, whether it's the chamber or a business organization that is truly maybe a delegate agent or connected to the city, because city's doing phenomenal. I'm real transparent. I am, Kenya is my sounding board. I have love-hate with the city. Some days I don't like you. Most days I do.
There's no hate. There's no hate if you're dealing with Kenya Merritt, I'm telling you.
There is not. But, the city has just done a phenomenal job with helping the businesses. And, me being involved, I've been through, I was with the ROM administration as far as whatever, they did, and, did a great job. However, our current mayor is truly sincere when she talks about wanting to help the businesses. And nobody asked me to say that. I mean that. I will stand on the rooftop and talk about the things and the resources that she's bringing to the city, especially to the community. To whereas I know the downtown folks, that the high rises and stuff like that are saying, hey, what about me? What about me? But we as the community, we're the heartbeat of the city. We're 77 neighborhoods. People come here for our neighborhoods. And if our businesses are not thriving, so they can't see the authenticity of what we do, what's the city for? So I just stay connected, to the city. I am, always telling people about other grants. I don't necessarily qualify for all the grants. That's a good thing. I'm kind of graduated out of that, but, just stay connected, stay with your community organizations, find any community organization that's connected with the city. Go down to BACP. This is the last thing I'm going to say. I know I'm probably over time. I don't have my time. I am almost a dinosaur. I was going to the city when they were not high tech, when they were not having the resources to speak with you before you open a business, so you wouldn't, fall into a sinkhole, the zoning.
Ma'am, you missed you missed the line here. We can't help you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right? Back in the old days.
I am 20 or more years into going down to City Hall. I could probably sleep in the building and wake up and know where to go. So BACP, is doing a great job with getting the resources. If you haven't signed up, listen to me, you don't need to give me about $2 off my taxes or something. If you haven't signed up, get on the newsletters, anything that the city does, they are here for our businesses. And I mean that sincerely.
Stella, how are we doing?
We are good. Charmaine, thank you so much for that plug. And to reach us, send us an email to bacpoutreach@cityofchicago.org. That's bacpoutreach@cityofchicago.org. Ken, any last words?
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I encourage everyone to check out this delicious chicken. I think
Yeah, we'll be there tomorrow.
I may be out there tomorrow too.
Yeah,
I'll bring Ken to you tomorrow, Charmaine.
Yes. Listen, Stella knows that we had some hiccups with that food truck. That food truck is a beast, but I got it mastered now. So your wait time is literally none. So we're good.
Thank you. And you actually, while we were talking, we were conversing, you gave me a couple of ideas about actually some future webinars. So you may be hearing from our team again. Particularly, I think everyone in the small business community, not only in Chicago, but probably nationally, could just talk a little bit more, and we're not going to do this today, but talk a little bit more about this kind of unpredictable marketplace, right? Unpredictable employees, and maybe even unpredictable customer base, and just how you kind of work our way through that. So you may be hearing from us again.
Oh, great. I love to share. My technology is probably rivals that of the big boys, as I call them, because you have to invest in your people, you have to invest in your business. So you
I'm gonna let you let you back to your business. We very much appreciate your time, and if my schedule permits, I'm gonna be out in class tomorrow. Grab some chicken. That sounds delicious. And enjoy your day. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Stella. Thanks.
Bye.